Great seeing you here again in this new video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about Alan Turing and artificial intelligence. An important part I want to discuss here is about the importance of Alan Turing. If we look at some achievements of Alan Turing, we look at the Turing or Alan Turing and decrypting the Enigma code. We also look at Turing and thinking machines. And finally, we look at the Turing Test. But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. So let's have a look at the achievements of Alan Turing. And before I start here, I have to say there are so many achievements done or realized by Alan Turing that it's impossible to give an overview of everything. I will try to summarize the most important achievements, but the life of Alan Turing was so rich, and what he did for the computer community is of such an importance that Alan Turing is always popping up everywhere. One of the first things I want to talk about, and when I look at the achievements of Alan Turing, is that it created the concept of a Turing machine. The Turing machine is in fact a kind of concept that demonstrates that computer functions can be computed by a simple set of instructions. And we talk today about a Turing machine. We use that term in many cases, and we refer to a complete computer as a complete Turing machine. It's used a lot in computer science. He also designed what is called the automatic computing engine computer, and this is the basis for all the modern computers that we have today. The design is fundamental in the creation of modern computers and, of course, for the creation of artificial intelligence. He also created a mathematical model for morphogenesis. This is about the explanation or explaining how patterns and structures develop in biological systems. It was not only about computers that Alan Turing was writing, but he also looked at the biology and different aspects. Basically, he was looking at those structures, those links between different parameters, and this is a very important example of it. Of course, we know he wrote many important papers. There are a number of papers that are very important for computer science, and we will look at some aspects of some of these papers. Of course, we know Alan Turing also because of code breaking and his test of creativity, but I will talk about that in the following slides. Alan Turing became very famous when he decrypted the Enigma code. It was not only him, but it was, let's say, a combined effort of different specialists. And what happened was that in the area 1939-45, when the world was at war with Germany, the Germans were using an Enigma system or coding machine to code their messages. The system was so complex that it was almost important to find the decoded messages. People were trying by hand, and a lot of decoders, decryption specialists, were in fact attracted to come and help at Bletchley Park. So the top decrypting specialists were grouped there. Most of them, they were working by hand, trying to break the code in the classical way. But Alan Turing was a little bit different, and when you would look at the movie The Imitation Game, you see what happened in that time. I don't know if everything is 100% true, but there are some elements which are for sure very true. Alan Turing, he didn't do the same work like the other people, and sometimes the people were not really happy with that because they didn't see him decoding. And it's something that I've seen in many times when I was doing a job where I was preparing the work, thinking how to deal with it, creating an automated system to do repetitive jobs. And that was basically what Alan Turing was doing. He realized that breaking the code, doing this by hand, would be virtually impossible because of all the possible combinations that the machine could generate. So basically, he built a machine that decrypted the messages, and finally they succeeded with it. It was a very big achievement because he also built one of the first computers to do this, automated the system, and it was a very huge success when the people could do these calculations, these decryptions at a very high rate, and even they kept it away from the Germans so the Germans would not realize that the codes were broken. It was a very big achievement, and people say that it helped shorten the Second World War at least with 1 year. So it's a very important achievement, although Alan Turing was not always respected and accepted because he was a gay man, and at the time in the United Kingdom it was illegal to be gay. Let's have a look at other elements when we look at Turing. Turing was also writing about thinking machines. Can machines think? And he wrote a paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence, where he rose the questions if machines will be able to think. Thinking machines is what we today talk about a lot because we talk about artificial intelligence. Do we have systems that can think? And basically what he did, he created in one paragraph the Imitation game, where it describes a test to determine if a machine is exhibiting intelligent behavior or not. Today we call this the Turing Test, and I will talk about that in the next slide. Anyway, the thing is about seeing if a machine can pass a test, and if the machine can pass the test, it would mean that it possesses general human-level intelligence, which we call today strong AI, strong artificial intelligence. Let's have a quick look at the Turing Test. The Turing Test is a simple test where we have a human questioner, and there are two parties, one computer respondent and a human respondent. Of course, the human questioner doesn't know who is the human and who is the computer, and messages are exchanged, and the human questioner has to find out, am I talking to a human or am I talking to a computer? If the human cannot distinguish between the person and the computer, then we would say that the machine passed the Turing test. Now, there are a lot of things happening with the Turing test, a lot of evolutions that are ongoing, and AI is not static, it's very dynamic. So there are different things happening recently. We will talk about that in other videos. So that was it. Basically, we look at the summary now of Alan Turing, the Imitation game, and the Turing test. The thing is that Alan Turing was the first person who asked the question, can computers think? We can be sure that Alan Turing was what we call a genius. The ideas he brought, the things he created for artificial intelligence and machines. In his paper, Computing Machines and Intelligence, which was completed in October 1950, where Alan Turing describes the imitation game, and the thing is that the computer tries to act like a human, and how we can discover the truth. Is this a computer or is this a human? The imitation game is today known as the Turing Test, and there is a panel of people who are trying to evaluate, is this a computer I'm talking to, or is this a person? This is the importance of the Turing Test, which is still valid today. So that was it for this video. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about. That's all. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next videos. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.